Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for running late. Sometimes things are just unavoidable, as we know, which is why we're back with day 12, finishing that off, and then we'll get stuck into day 13. There's no way, shape, or form around it. I'm just going to have to try and do a stream tonight because I can't. There's no way I'm going to get through the end of day 12 and then into day 13 before day 14 starts. Unfortunately, I could not do a stream yesterday, which was a pain in the backside, but shit happens. So, alrighty, let me just add myself to the stage there because I'm just messing around, aren't I? Check that the remote is working.
Take us to 10:54.
Remote is working. All right, let's see what kind of bullshit Officer Bukaki gets up to this afternoon, shall we? And in the meantime, let's go!
Before we begin, Mechanic, is this a different location than all the video we've seen before?
Yes, this is the Waterfall Bar Grill surveillance footage from inside the lounge area. And for reference purposes, this is, at this location, the timestamp is accurate to the real time.
Ms. Gilman, could you begin at 10:54, please?
Here we see the defendant, Mr. O'Keefe, walk into the bar.
I think she had a pretty good Mother's Day, honestly. I have no idea whether or not she's listening or not. Theoretically, she could be, because she'd be in the car by now. But we had a good day. We did breakfast. She opened all her presents, and then I basically took her on a shopping spree. So, oh, and I was a good husband, and to prove that I always have her back, I paid the speeding fine. So, she's pretty clear that way. So I think she had a good day, honestly.
And see their friends and engage in hugs and greetings.
We'll let the Waterfall Bar videos play.
I'm sorry, sir?
We'll let the Waterfall video bars play. We'll just let them play.
Okay.
So nice that I'm able to actually see and drive at the moment. I actually don't know whether or not I would have been able to stream this morning because aside from the fact that the computer messed up, which thankfully I fixed. But we've well and truly hit winter here. I could probably see 30 feet in front of me this morning from the fog. Because of course, with all the farmland out here, first thing in the morning, if you get the right conditions, the dew point hits and it's like you're walking through soup. I took some video of it, so I'll have to cut it down and show it. Honestly, at different times it was freaking terrifying, just seeing a white semi-trailer truck coming in
1206, please.
At you from the other direction, just, out of the mist. I'm just filling in time because we all know I can't see the videos, so.
1207.
Well, let's face it, it's the waterfall videos. What are they really trying to show? Oh, yeah, she was there. She had a few drinks. Everyone else was there. They had a few
1210,
drinks.
please.
Albert and Higgins squared off and pretended to play fight. Oh, yeah, sure. No animosity there that we know of. I'll be perfectly honest. There were plenty of red herrings in this case. There were plenty of things that, yeah, sure, the defense probably was required to bring up and discuss and mention and hope that they were throwing in. Excuse me. I hope that
Did you see the last person walk out the door on that video clip?
Yes, I did.
Did you identify who that is?
Yes, it's Mr. John O'Keefe. He's wearing the two-tone gray sweatshirt with the sleeves pulled up towards the elbows.
Is that the same clothing that you found at Good Samaritan Hospital when you went to visit?
Yes, it is.
The baseball hat, did you have an opportunity to look at the hat he was wearing?
She does count.
Yes, I did.
Is that consistent with the hat that you...
So that was Pepper. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting just to talk about my personal life, but you know what? Screw it. Everything that I've done for the last 2 and a bit weeks has been Karen Reid related in some way, shape, or form. Okay. So I'm going to talk about my pussy. She is, I think she's almost 12. She was she wasn't really a stray, but I guarantee that we saved her from taking a swim, shall we say, in a Hessian sack in a river. If we'd been able to, I probably would have taken her brother at the same time. But she's had a very good life, and basically I'm her favorite. I'm the one that gives her pats and she snuggles up with and that sort of thing. She's a bit prickly when you first get to know her, but and she does this thing where she just drools whenever I'm giving her pats, and it's just, I can understand why other people in the house don't like giving her pats, but she's only just started warming up to Scarlett and just enabling her to give her pats as well. So anyway, let's get back to Trooper Buchanan.
You in the group found on February 3rd, 2010?
Yes, it is.
The pants?
Yes, it is.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you Exhibit 108C. This is already introduced to evidence. When you studied that photo, do you notice anything in Mr. O'Keefe's hand?
Yes, in his right hand, he's holding a short style cocktail glass with black drinking straw protruding from it as it is backdropped on the snow on the hood of the car that's parked outside.
Could we show 108C, please?
But see, the trouble is that you didn't know at the time that cocktail glass was from the waterfall. You were done next to no investigating whatsoever. You should have went into that house and checked and seen, oh, do any of these glasses match? Should we be talking to any of the individuals in the house?
Ms. Gilman, could you focus the best you can on the drink? Is that the photo you looked at?
Yes, it is.
Can you point out or explain where you see the drinking straw?
Absolutely. Right there,
Amy Warrior
to
in
the
the
right of the
house.
red indicator, you could see the straw protruding out of the glass Mr. O'Keefe is holding in his right hand.
Thank you. You can take that down, Ms. Gilman.
I'm going to allow it.
You can take that down, Ms. Gilman. Thank you. One last matter, Trooper Buchanan. In 2024, did you obtain ring video for that time period in 2024 from Mr. O'Keefe's home?
Yes, I did.
Did you provide that ring video to a person who works for a company by the name of Aperture?
Yes, we did.
And just very basically, do you know what Aperture does?
Yes, I do.
What do they do?
They assist in scientific fashion to reconstruct, test, and evaluate, analyze vehicle-involved crashes and deaths.
Is Aperture part of the Mass State Police team?
They are not.
Are they a private company?
Yes, they are.
May I approach?
Yes.
Handing in the item to you.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, I do.
What is it?
Bringing in
It's a ring
Antioch.
video from 2024.
It's a one location.
Meadows Ave.
I move this evidence.
Okay.
No objection.
Thank you.
I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, fuck.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Sergeant Buchnick.
Good afternoon, sir.
I want to talk to you for a second about roles in this case, in this investigation. Would you agree with me that Michael Proctor was the lead investigator as well as the case agent in charge of this case?
He was assigned as the case officer for the case.
In that position, given the fact
Jesus
that it was
Christ,
his
we're
assignment,
already-
would you?
Seriously, that was a fucking yes or no question. He's already trying to be evasive on that shit. The jury's gonna fucking hate this, and I hope they do.
Agree with me that he had a leadership role insofar as the investigation of the case was concerned?
I wouldn't call it a leadership role. It's more of a facilitator, liaison between the DA's
Fuck off.
personnel within the office and the state police. He also helps facilitate any missions outstanding, tasks that need to be completed.
You obviously had a supervisor, correct?
I'm sorry.
He was the one that had to facilitate tasks that needed to be completed. So he was in charge of the case. He was the one ultimately responsible for the investigation. Oh, I wouldn't say it was a leadership role, but he was the one that was in charge of making sure that things got done. Fuck me sideways.
Can you repeat that?
He obviously had a supervisor, correct?
He did, yes, that would be myself.
That would be you.
Yes.
Every case has some lead trooper in your unit, correct? Every case is assigned to someone to sort of be in charge and lead the charge of the investigation. Is that right?
Every case has a case officer that manages the investigation.
Right. And managing the investigation doesn't mean just, typing up schedules. It means actually managing the investigation, like deciding what search warrants are going to be written in certain circumstances. That's one example, correct?
They're responsible for writing and authoring those search warrants. Sometimes the recommendation, suggestion, or leadership comes from the supervisors or the DA staff, where their experience might dictate otherwise.
And sometimes it comes from the lead case agent himself or herself, correct?
At times, yes.
Every team, even back when you were in the military, you were on many teams in the Marine Corps, correct?
I'm sorry, you were facing away from me. I couldn't hear you.
Every team, including back in the time you were in the military, back in the time you were in the Marine Corps, every team has multiple individuals involved in that team, correct? That's the whole point of a team, multiple people, correct?
I would agree with you that a team consists of more than one person. Yes.
And it has to be some sort of echelon of leadership on that team, correct? Everybody's not just an co-equal, correct?
We might have different duties, responsibilities, but some teams have equal rank. Yeah.
But there's going to be a team leader, right? That's a military phrase, team leader.
Yes, there is a team leader in the Marine Corps, in the rifle platoon, but not every team has a leader.
I just can't with this shit. This is how I know I've spent too long watching trials and, see, this is one of the great things about being the type of attorney that I am. I have trial experience, but at the same time, I'm still allowed to sit back and let I don't have to have as tight rein on my emotions like, for example, Alan Jackson would need to with this. It's one of the great things about being a Monday morning coach, okay? I can sit here and go, my next question would be, and I'm not going to lie, it's inappropriate, but my next question would be, why do you appear to be attempting to minimize Trooper Proctor's involvement in this case? And you know what? Biggest objection ever would come from that. Guarantee it, he gets stricken from the record. But I would feel compelled to ask that question. Jesus, he was still on the stand then. Bloody hell.
The team in this case, in this investigation, have a leader, someone who was assigned as the lead case agent, not just another officer, not just another detective, but the lead case agent.
The case officer for the investigation was Michael Proctor.
But you don't want to say lead case agent or case officer, correct?
I refer to that ability as case officer.
Would have been more direct, but he's getting
your responsibility as the supervisor over this particular case officer or any other case officer that you might have, or any other trooper that you might have under your supervision. Your responsibility in no small part is to supervise the individuals under your command to ensure that the case is adequately investigated. It's properly investigated. That's part of your role as a supervisor, correct?
It is one of my many responsibilities, yes.
It's partly because you have more experience, I'm guessing, than the people under your charge. Is that right?
Certainly in my position, but there are many instances where a sergeant might have less experience than a well-seasoned trooper that's been in the office for 15 to 20 years. So
fair enough. Fair enough. That may be the case, but under ordinary circumstances, you earn your way into a supervisory role in the Massachusetts State Police through both not just time, but time and experience, correct?
We take an exam and then get promoted based on the exam.
part of the
Fucking
responsibility
God,
that
just
you have as
answer
a
the yes or no
supervisor is to
question.
make sure that the case is properly investigated, and that may include making sure you have the right suspects, right? The array of suspects that may exist, you want to make sure, and you supervise to make sure that that array of suspects is appropriate and proper, correct?
In every investigation, we follow the evidence. We follow the statements made, provided by eyewitnesses, witnesses in the case. Sometimes the defendants or suspects provide statements to us. At many instances, those could be contradictory statements. We follow the evidence in every investigation, and that evidence determines who the suspect, person of interest, or ultimately the defendant is.
And you want to make sure that you gather, or that your subordinates gather that evidence in an
Try to
appropriate
get that jab in, didn't you?
and objective way. It's obviously the foundation of a good investigation, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Maybe. You obviously, as a supervisor, want to make sure, you talked about following the evidence, you want to make sure that that evidence is gathered in a way that is adequate, in a way that is objective, in a way that is unbiased, so that you can gather the evidence that will lead you to the right folks, right, to the right suspects.
We always want to gather as much evidence as possible. We conduct that gathering in the most appropriate ways possible. Sometimes there are tough decisions that have to be made where we have to either decide whether we're collecting evidence A or evidence B, and those decisions have to be made on the spot. At times it's a time-sensitive matter. At times it's a decision made by a group putting their heads together and deciding on that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Not really.
that's the most
Let's try it again.
accurate explanation.
Okay, you done?
I am.
Okay, let's try that again. You want to make sure that the evidence, as a supervisor, supervising your subordinates, you want to make sure that the evidence is gathered in an appropriate way, in an objective way, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You're also doing everything you can as a supervisor and someone with the experience to make sure that the highest levels of integrity and those demands are met in any investigation that you work on.
If there was a question of integrity,
I mean, we're talking
those
about
individuals.
I was gonna say. We're talking about Canton. I mean, come on. Oh shit, those cows are out. Okay, I'm just gonna slow down here. Who the hell just... They're unattended. And they're eating the... Oh, they broke the fence. That's why. Oh, shit. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm just going to make sure that they know that they're cows. That's what I was worried about this morning. I am not going to lie. Coming through here this morning, it was just wide out. So, you know what? I would say the conditions this morning had less visibility than the blizzard in Canton that night. And I was worried I was going to plow straight fucking smack into one of those cows. Something in the pit of my stomach knew that there was going to be a fence broken today. I'm glad it was now so that I could see what I was doing and avoid running into them. Anyway, straight out of Canton, just to answer your question, the $75 bucks. You guys, for those of you that are new to the channel, you earn $75 bucks, which is the channel's proprietary currency, every time you chat for the first time in a stream. Generally, I try and reset it, and it's supposed to be every stream, but sometimes it carries on from the previous stream. And then you also earn another $5 for every 5 minutes that you're in chat and say at least one thing. So you post a chat, you're good for 5 minutes, you get another 5 points. And basically, on the streams when I'm at home behind the computer, you're able to redeem them for all sorts of channel rewards, including clips, funny things from me, sound effects, things that interrupt the stream and whatever else. But basically, it's a way that you guys get to be entertained and interactive with the stream. So they're generally not redeemable on these particular streams just because StreamYard has yet to integrate too well with SpeakerBot and OBS. But I am in the process of trying to get that to work. Okay? Damn, Deanna is hoarding those dollar bucks. I am getting concerned. Am I going to wind up with colored hair this month? Maybe. Anyway, let's get back to this because I've completely lost my train of thought.
Those would not be part of an investigation.
That includes knowing, obviously, what your subordinates are doing.
Oh, that's right. The integrity
During the conduct of the investigation, during the process of us investigating a crime,
Control.
yes, we know what is going on, because every bit of information that comes in needs to be shared, and we need to make sure the whole team is aware of all the evidence and information that is available to us at the time.
You want to make sure that, I'm going to use a colloquial phrase, you keep tabs on those who are reporting to you, correct? What are they doing? What are they engaged in? When are they coming and going? Who are they interviewing? Things of that nature. Basic investigative things, correct?
For the most part, you can't track every single person all the time, but this is a very serious line of work. A lot depends on it. We speak for those that can no longer speak for themselves. So we do our best to conduct every investigation with integrity, honor, and get to the truth.
If you don't properly supervise, and I'm talking about your role now as a supervisor, if you don't properly engage in that supervision, it obviously increases chances for mistakes. It increases chances for bias to see things. It increases chances that something could affect the adequacy of the investigation, correct?
Get him, Jackson. Get him.
That's a lot there. Can you repeat that, please? Maybe one section at a time?
Sure. If you don't properly supervise your subordinates in an investigation.
He's basically just Lorelei, hello? He's basically just trying to sit there and go, oh yeah, by the way, you're responsible for everything Proctor did, aren't you? You could try to distance yourself, but you were his direct supervisor, so you're responsible for everything he did. And he's got, and Bukaki's got two ways to respond to that. He can either say, no, Proctor went out on his own, he acted independent of the force, and that everything he did was his own actions. In which case, then the defense turns around and says, "So why is he not here? Why is the prosecution not talking? Why is the prosecution not calling him? Given that he was so integral to the investigation, and all of his actions were his own." Did you miss anything good? Well, we're just getting towards the end of day 12, and then I'll start day 13, and I assume at some point we've got to listen to him read through the text messages.
Failing to properly supervise them could increase the chances that mistakes are made. Isn't that right? That's why
yes, that is one possibility.
Okay, let's break it down. It also increases chances that there could be inherent biases that are seeping into the case that you want to make sure doesn't happen, correct?
Legal or not.
I believe that human beings all have biases, but during the investigation, those biases do not affect, especially in this case, they did not affect any outcome of the.
Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. Biases did not affect the outcome of this case. No, he's not going to catch it. And I quote, will the owner catch any flack? No, he's a Boston cop too. How the absolute frick is the bias, and that's not even unconscious bias, that is just blatant bias, by a investigating officer not going to affect the outcome of the investigation? No way, chance in hell. And Jackson better hit that home.
The investigation.
So I wasn't even talking about this case. I was talking about cases in general and your supervisory role in general. Your job as a supervisor is to seek out and make sure that there are no biases in an investigation, correct?
Absolutely.
You want to make sure that any investigation, as a supervisor, any investigation that is under your charge, under your supervision, is done adequately and professionally. Is that right?
Yes, that is right.
And there's a chain of command for that, right? Meaning someone under your charge needs to report up the chain of command to you, and you have
Well, Kiska, that's pretty good. You've taken the first step then. Congratulations. I have no idea about the circumstances, but hopefully you see a just and reasonable outcome. State attorney needs to investigate the police force and the rest. I'm still expecting the feds to walk in at some stage. Everything that I've read, everything that I've heard, everything that I've seen is that have been told that the investigation into those individuals has been completed, not the investigation as a whole. And based on some things that I've seen during this trial, I genuinely believe that DOJ is still keeping a very close eye.
supervisors to whom you report, correct?
Yes, it's a paramilitary structure, and it is in order for the colonel to keep command and control over the entire agency of 2,000 plus people, it is absolutely necessary for there be a reporting up and down within the ranks of the Massachusetts State Police.
And you have, by the way, what's your chain of command? Who did you report to back in 2022?
I directly reported to Detective Lieutenant Tully.
Wait, you reported directly to Tully? How did I miss that the last time around?
Especially in a case, you mentioned this case a second ago, especially in a case like this, a homicide investigation, especially in a homicide investigation involving a police officer. You have to maintain your knowledge, an intimate knowledge of.
Honestly, ordinarily, I can't stand the three-letter agencies, but when you can use them to your advantage, fuck it.
Those under your command, under your charge, to ensure that what they're doing fits what you believe to be the proper protocol. In other words, you're not just going to let people loose. You're going to watch what they're doing and actually supervise them, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We are professionals, and we conduct each and every investigation with that in mind, and with the integrity that is necessary.
You just used the word I was about to use. That ensures the adequacy of the investigation, correct?
Yes.
To use your word, that ensures the integrity of the investigation. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
As you sit here today, do you believe that this investigation, now I'm going to turn to this investigation, was conducted with professionalism, with competence, at the highest level of integrity?
Oh, I cannot wait to hear the answer to this question. How he answers this question could blow the door off certain avenues for Jackson. Oh, please. You're fuck up royally. Please. You will make my day. Yeah, Jen McCabe suggesting that she helped end the federal investigation. I'm fairly confident she gave them everything that they needed, but not to end the investigation. That's what I said. My understanding is that the investigation into certain individuals has been completed. And that doesn't mean that the investigation as a whole has ended. It means that they've already got enough on those particular individuals or in relation to their involvement. So I cannot wait.
Investigation was conducted professionally with integrity, and all the evidence collected, all the statements collected pointed in one direction. There was no bias influence on the evidence, on the information that was collected, or which direction the investigation pointed naturally.
Former Trooper Michael Proctor was the person who was the assigned case agent, the lead case agent in this particular investigation, correct?
Michael Proctor was the case officer for this investigation.
He was assigned, ultimately, to use another phrase, as the lead investigator, wasn't he?
I'm not going to agree with you.
Is there a reason that you want to try to distance yourself from naming Michael Proctor as the lead investigator in the case? Is there some reason?
I am not trying to distance myself. All I'm saying is the term that I use is the case officer. We're simply case managers. There's no leading investigation in any direction.
So in your mind, well, let me ask you this. He's a case officer, another word for that. Synonym would be an investigator, right? He's a detective, an investigator, right?
He is a detective, yes.
And he was the one who was assigned by the Massachusetts State Police because of his on-call status that night, that morning, January 29, 2022. He was assigned to the case, correct?
Michael.
Yes or no? Assigned to the case. That's all I'm asking.
Well, you said a lot before that.
No,
So
I said he was assigned to the case. What I said before that was January 29, 2022.
Well, worst case scenario, you can get an attorney record after the fact.
As the case officer for this case, right?
But yeah, time limits occasionally suck.
Who was?
he was assigned to be on call a month prior. Just because he was on call, he was assigned the case as a result. He was not assigned the case right there and then, because his assignment began much earlier in the day.
Sorry, we can do this all day, I suppose. He was on call.
He was.
January 29th, correct?
He was.
Because he was on call, any case that happened to come in would be assigned to whom?
Was assigned to him.
To the on-call trooper that's on the schedule.
Which was whom?
It was Michael Proctor.
Let me just ask you this. Do you believe that Michael Proctor, his involvement in this case, taints the investigation? Tainted the investigation?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Not at all.
The investigation was done with honor, integrity, and all the evidence pointed in one direction only.
Honor and integrity by Michael Proctor?
Was that a question? I'm sorry.
Sure is. Everything I say is a question. Honor and integrity by Michael Proctor, Sergeant? Okay.
Sustained to the
Got the
comment.
inflection at the
Go ahead
end.
and ask it again, Mr.
I'll ask you
Jackson.
again. You said honor and integrity. honor, and integrity by Michael Proctor? Okay.
I'll allow it.
The investigation was conducted
gonna
with
say
honor and
that's-
integrity, and all the evidence pointed in one direction and one direction only.
So, Sergeant Buchanan, you don't want to answer my question.
No, he very much does not. And I swear to God, each and every question, once he gets to certain things, needs to be, do you believe that Michael Proctor acted with honor and integrity whilst such and such? Because, oh God, that would be hilarious.
Correct?
I will answer your question, absolutely.
Do you think this
Then
case was
answer it.
handled with honor and integrity by Michael Proctor, Sergeant?
The investigation was handled with integrity by Michael Proctor.
You do know that he touched or had input in nearly every part of this case, obviously, as the case officer, correct?
He managed the case.
So he had some input or had some connection to nearly every part of the case, be it the physical evidence, the search warrants, the interviews, things of that nature.
He was one of the involved with collecting evidence, conducting interviews, and signing affidavits for the search
As
warrants.
long as you're happy for me to.
He didn't take a minor role in this case. He had a major role in
Obviously,
this case.
I can't
Would
give
you
you
at least
legal
agree with that?
advice.
He had a role that was more significant than
Yeah,
others.
full moon.
A major role would, to me, suggest that he had 51% or more. And with a team of the size that we had working on this case, he did not have a major role.
So you believe, as you sit here today, your testimony is Michael Proctor did not have a major role in this investigation of Commonwealth versus Karen Reed because he didn't have 51%
Jesus
of
Christ.
something? That's your testimony?
That's the way I understand it, yes.
Okay.
Fuck me.
You're aware of the search warrants that were drafted, affidavits that were attended to those search warrants in this case, correct?
Am I aware of affidavits drafted
Search warrants and affidavits,
in support of the search warrants?
correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. You're also aware that there was a good amount of physical evidence that was handled in this case, recovered, touched, booked, assigned or booked into the lab, things of that nature?
I am aware of the evidence involved in this case, yes.
May I approach the witness? No?
Yes.
Sergeant Buchanan, I've handed you a binder, and it's tabbed just for your convenience, so I don't have to walk back and forth. With
Thanks,
the court's
sir.
permission.
Yes.
Can you open tab 1? I'm not going to ask you to read the entire search warrant, but is that a search warrant that ends in 07?
Yes, it is.
And it's for generally Verizon records for Miss Reed's cell phone.
No, I would not agree with you, sir.
What is that search warrant for?
It's for Verizon records for a VIN number, which looks like a vehicle.
Is that the vehicle,
What?
the SUV, the Lexus SUV in this case?
I do not know for sure because it doesn't have that identifier here, and I don't know the VIN number off the top of my head.
Okay, fair enough. Who's the affiant?
Michael Proctor.
Can you turn to tab 2? Is that a search warrant ending in the number 14?
Give me 1 second.
I'm sorry,
I don't want to
1-3.
ruin your presentation.
I don't want to ruin your presentation. Wait, are you seriously telling me that her car for data transfer? So theoretically, the entire lot should still have. Okay, so there's a lot more information that's available. Interesting. Getting a little
Search
ahead of
warrant ending
myself.
in 13. I misspoke.
Okay.
Is that a search warrant for, generally speaking, Karen Reed's cell phone?
The quality of this photocopy is so poor, I cannot make out exactly what it's for, but there is an overlay of print. I can read what is presented to me, if that's what you want me to do. I do not know if this is an authentic copy of a search warrant.
Let's just look at the affidavit. Can you tell me who the affidavit
Oh,
is?
fuck off. It's a document that has been certified as an exhibit in a court case, and you don't know if it's a legitimate copy of the warrant or not. Wow.
On this document, the affiant is Michael Proctor.
Can you turn to by the way, just staying with that for a second, you said you don't recognize it. Do you recognize it as being attendant to this case?
The application or the affidavit?
The search warrant. Well,
Again,
they go together.
The application or the together?
They go together.
I understand that, but I'm asking which document you want me to.
The document in total. In other words, it's not a search warrant dealing with a different case. It's dealing with Ms. Reed's case, correct?
Holy shit, I'm going to rage quit.
Again, I cannot say from the search warrant because of the quality of it. The addendum A appears to be with this case.
Okay. Have you ever
And
seen it before?
I'm sorry?
Have you ever seen it before, this search warrant?
I haven't read the whole thing, so I can't testify to that.
So this could be a search warrant that you never even saw?
Based on what you're presenting to me, never having seen or not having read all the details of it, I cannot say whether I've seen it before or not.
So you're not sure that Michael Proctor didn't just do the search warrant without your knowledge as you sit here?
I don't know if this is truly Michael Proctor's product.
Think that might be a forgery? His
I'm
name?
sorry?
You think that might be a forgery at the end of that affidavit?
Well, for one, it's not signed. So I don't know who produced this. What I'm saying to you is I don't know who produced this. The quality of the first document, the narrative, I don't know who produced it. If you show me a search warrant application with an affidavit from court with a stamp, the timestamp, and
They don't have to declare him hostile at this point. He's already an adverse party. Rule 39, because he's a acting member of the police force of Massachusetts, Jackson can already act however he wants. He doesn't have to worry about having him declared as a hostile party. For the most part, declaring someone a hostile or an adverse party is only really useful if it's your own witness. So, like I was saying the other day, if the defense in their case in chief were to bring Proctor as a witness themselves, it would be beneficial for them to have him declared as a hostile witness, so that they could ask him leading questions and berate him a little bit and slap him around a little. It's cross-examination, so you don't really have to worry about declaring him hostile. But in any case, even if it was a direct examination or redirect as opposed to cross-examination, as he's a sitting member of as he's currently an agent of the police force, he's automatically deemed to be an adverse party. So they can pretty much ask whatever questions they want of him.
a stamp water seal from court. I will tell you that that's what it appears to be. What you've shown me here, I don't know what this is.
Otherwise, looking at that document, seeing the affidavit, seeing the addendum, seeing Michael Proctor's name on it, no clue whether or not that's a warrant that's attendant to this case that Michael Proctor drafted and submitted. You have no clue.
I can't take you at your word.
I'm not asking you to take me at my word, sir. I'm not testifying. I'm asking you to take the document at its word. Do you recognize it or not? If you don't, you don't.
I do not know.
Okay, let's turn to tab 3.
What a wanker.
Does that appear to be a search warrant
Bloody
ending in
hell.
the number 14?
Yes, it is.
And does that appear to generally be associated with Ring camera footage at One Meadows? Or can you not tell that?
It has an email address, an associated MAC address. So yes, that's what it appears to be.
Okay, can you tell me who the affiant is?
Again, this is not a signed search warrant. This is just an affidavit.
Whose name is at the bottom?
The name at the bottom printed is Michael Proctor.
Can you turn to tab 4?
What the fuck is wrong with this dude? The affidavits themselves are sworn under penalty of perjury and become a certified document once they're filed with the court, irrespective of whether or not the search warrant is, like, the search warrant was filed with the affidavit. Sure, it doesn't have the court seal coming back because they probably don't have copies of that, but why? He's just arguing every single little point, and half the time he appears to be wrong. Like, this is like sitting down and arguing with a 6-year-old who's been told, deny everything. 6-year-old's been sent to the principal's office. They're being questioned about something that happened at school, and their friends turned to them and said, deny everything. Is your name Yuri Buchanek? I can't really say for certain on that because you haven't provided me with a certified copy of my own birth certificate. Jesus.
Does that appear to be a search warrant ending in the number 04?
Yes, it does.
And does that appear to be for ring footage also at One Meadows in 2023?
Didn't Rafferty quit?
Based on the application addendum A, it's the same email address associated with the previous location of Meadows, yes.
Who's the affiant or affiant?
Michael Proctor.
Can you turn to tab 5? Does that appear to be a police report?
It does.
And do you see a reference in that police report for a search warrant ending in 10 for a telematics system regarding Miss Reed's SUV? And it may speed things up if you look at page 2.
There is a reference to it, yes.
Okay. Whose report is that?
It's Trooper Nicholas Guarino's report.
And who is referred to on page 2 as seeking the search warrant ending in 10? That
search warrant was issued at Stone District Court and presented by Trooper Proctor.
Turn to page, tab 6, if you wouldn't mind. Do you see a search warrant ending in the number 77?
I see the application, yes.
And this deals with Google, some geofence data, correct?
Yes, it is.
Who's the affiant?
Again, this search warrant is not signed, but I would say this isn't an actual search warrant, but it seems like at the bottom it says Trooper Michael Proctor.
If you turn to tab 7, please. Does that appear to be a report authored by Nicholas Guarino?
It does.
Does that deal with John O'Keefe's cell phone?
It's a report written by Nicholas Guarino referencing Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone, yes.
And it indicates that Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone was seized by a particular trooper?
That's what the report indicates, yes.
Who's the trooper?
In this report, it says that Trooper Proctor secured the cell phone.
Turn to tab 8, if you don't mind. Do you see a similar report by Trooper Guarino?
Yes.
And do you see reference to Karen Reed's cell phone having been seized?
Yes.
And that was seized by Trooper Proctor also, correct?
Yeah, him and I were there together.
His name is in the report, though.
Yes, his name is in the report.
Your name is not in the report, is it?
I'll have to check. Give me a second, please. My initials are in the report.
Turn to tab 9. Do you see a report by you
I do.
indicating early spring 2022? There was a CPD video requested by somebody, correct?
Yes.
Who did you indicate requested that CPD video?
The case officer, Trooper Proctor.
And you went and actually, in this instance, you actually went and got the video and delivered it to him, correct? At his request.
Yes, as the case officer, I would. Yeah.
Because as the case officer, he's entitled to ask for things, have them delivered, correct?
Anybody's entitled to ask for things. Absolutely. We are pursuing justice.
Oh,
We're looking
for
for any and all
fuck's
possible
sake!
evidence.
I'm sure you are. As the case officer, he's entitled to ask for things to be delivered to him,
Yes. Yes.
even by his supervisor.
Yes. Absolutely.
If you don't mind turning to tab 10, please. Do you recognize that report?
I'm sorry, I was still turning. It's the same report.
Same report, different paragraph, also talking about, or the different sentence, talking about a July 2023 CPD or Canton Police Department video that was also requested, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Sure. That particular part of the report, where I'm directing your attention to July of 2023, there was a Canton Police Department video requested by someone, correct?
Yes.
Who was that requested by?
Trooper Proctor.
And who delivered it to Trooper Proctor?
I did.
Turn to tab 11, please.
Loser Cruz is going to get someone killed.
Do you see a document referencing the analysis of Canton Town library videos?
I do.
And who is it that's listed as having received and reviewed and analyzed the town library videos?
Give me just 1 second. I have to read the report. It was Trooper Proctor that analyzed the video and wrote up the timeline.
Thank you. Sergeant, if you'll turn to tab 12.
All right, guys. $10
Do you
super
recognize
chat,
that
and
as
I'm
being
making
a
the car my bitch.
November 2023 report.
Yes, it's report number 83.
And who authored that report?
This report is authored by Trooper Michael Proctor.
Does that indicate, and I'm not going to ask you to go through the entirety of the report, but if you scan that report, does that indicate certain items of evidence that Trooper Proctor claimed to have recovered on his own? Pieces of plastic, small black plastic, clear plastic, fragment of glass on February 11th, 2022, 3 pieces of clear plastic on February 11th, 2022, clear and red plastic pieces on February 18th, 2022. Is all that referenced in there?
Those items are documented in this report as were collected. Yes.
And those are all documented having been collected by Trooper Proctor himself, correct?
Yes, yes, they were.
And if you'll turn to tab 13. This is an evidence submission form, correct?
I'm sorry, 13.
Tab 13, yes, sir.
Yes, it's a
Yes,
copy
but
of an evidence
this one's a
submission
freebie.
form
Game on!
from March 14th, 2022.
And that indicates submission of certain items of physical evidence from Massachusetts State Police custody to the crime lab, correct?
I would say so, based on this copy's information on there. Yes, I would say so.
And who's the person who submitted the items that I'll ask you about?
It is Trooper Michael Proctor.
And those items include clothing, is that right? We don't have to go through them line by line, but generally, you see clothing items mentioned on there?
The first line is a clothing item, yes.
That includes a lot of what we saw today, Sergeant Buchanan, the shirt, the orange shirt, the sweatshirt, blue jeans, belt, correct?
Blue jeans, belt. What was the other thing that you listed?
Shirts.
There was a shirt, yes.
It also lists certain items of plastic, certain items of glass, is that right?
Some of those items are listed, yes.
And it even mentions the straw that you talked to Mr. Brennan about, correct?
Yes, the straw is mentioned and numbered.
And all of those items were submitted on March 14th, 2022, correct?
That's what the form indicates, yes.
And all of those items were submitted by Michael Proctor from his custody and control to the crime lab, correct?
That's who signed the form.
So the things that, according to the form at least, and your experience with forms of this nature, it was Michael Proctor who possessed and controlled those items before they were turned over to the Massachusetts State, to the crime lab, correct?
That would be accurate, yes.
So he would have maintained all of it, is that right? At least at some point?
They would have been in his custody as he's transporting them for processing at the lab, of course.
And then after he maintained control of it, eventually he turned it over and submitted those items, correct?
Holy shitballs! Lorelei, holy crap! Thank you for the gas money. Appreciate it. How many questions do you guys think this dude will actually answer by the time Cross is over? Actually answering the questions that are asked of him, I'd say it'll max out around 10, maybe 12. But that's just because Jackson's going to nail him to the wall and hammer things home. So, wow. And Shannon, to answer your question, don't items have to be in their own evidence bag? It varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but best practices are that items should be properly, collected, basically. But it's not uncommon for multiple items to be in the same evidence bag.
If the form is accurate, then yes, that's absolutely right.
So we've just gone through a few things. What you and I have just gone through is not nearly everything that Michael Proctor was involved with in terms of this investigation, correct? We didn't talk about witness interviews, right?
We did not talk about witness interviews,
So
no.
there's a lot more that Michael Proctor on a day-to-day basis as the case officer was involved in addition to what you and I just talked about, correct?
Yes, there was many more things he was involved in. As I mentioned, that was just report 83. There's 100+ reports in this case that were written. There's a lot of evidence that was collected and processed. So he had a part in the investigation as the case officer managing the tasks. But there's a lot of people involved in this investigation.
So he touched or authored or reviewed or controlled at least every bit of what you and I have talked about.
Okay. I'll be honest, it's the first time I've seen solo cups used as an evidence collection kit. That one was a new one that threw me, okay? I have heard of weird containers being used before. I mean, sometimes you use Tupperware, sometimes you... The solo cups, though, without knowing whether or not they're being used or not, was a new one.
About this morning. All these items that we just talked about, correct?
He is referenced or is... his name appears on most of these documents, yes, if not all.
Of the ones that we just went through, he's not just referenced, he's the author of every single one of them, correct?
No. Nicholas Garino wrote some of these reports.
Sorry, the author of the search warrant. I asked you to look at Nicholas Garino's report to reference the search warrant that Nicholas Garino referenced in his report, and Michael Proctor was the author of that search warrant, correct?
Again, I hate to do this to you, but...
I don't think you do.
Some of these search warrants could not be authenticated. I don't know what these documents were. I didn't read them, so I can't tell you that he was the author. Like what you presented, I can't speak to.
You just made my point. Even as a supervisor, you don't know everything Michael Proctor was doing, do you?
It's impossible to know everything somebody was doing.
Got it. Especially the case officer on this case, as busy as he was, right?
God, this guy is such a piece
sorry?
of shit.
Especially the case officer on this case, as busy as he was, Michael Proctor, right?
He was keeping us and his supervisors abreast of what was happening, the next step, the search warrants he was writing, the evidence that was being collected, the interviews that are being conducted, court dates and motions and stuff like that.
So he would do the work and then keep you, the word you just used, keep you abreast of that work.
Right, unless I was involved with the investigation myself. We did a ton of interviews together, as I authored some of these reports as well. I said there was 100+ reports.
Sir, you were
that pretty much
notified on
covers
January
half of the
29th,
Starlink
2022, that a Boston police officer
Thank you so much, Laurel. I very much
was
appreciate it.
found gravely injured in front of 34 Fairview in the lawn, in the yard, correct?
No, that is not correct.
What were you notified of?
When the notification came in, it was that there was a male party found in the snowbank.
At some point, you learned that male party was John O'Keefe, a police officer, correct?
Oh, shit. I'm either smelling fresh paint or burning plastic. Neither is a good sign in my car. I'm not getting any warnings or anything, so hopefully I'm okay.
At some point, we did learn that he was a Boston police officer.
Matter of fact, you learned that morning. May not have been the first notification, but certainly early that morning, you knew that John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer.
At some point, we learned. I don't remember exactly when, if it was morning, just after 12. I don't know when, but we did learn that he was a Boston police officer.
And I'm not asking about what Proctor learned, but what you learned. You learned that he was a Boston police officer, correct?
At some point, I learned that he was a Boston police officer, yes.
And on January 29th, did you ever respond to 34 Fairview Road at any time?
On January 29th, 2022, at no point in time did I or Michael Proctor, who was with me the whole time, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road.
So the answer to my question, very simply, is no, right?
That's correct.
You just answered this question as well, but I want to make sure we're absolutely clear. Your Honor, may I approach? I don't want that binder to be in this way. At no point on January 29th, 2022, did Michael Proctor respond to 34 Fairview either, did he?
No, he did not.
You already indicated and you described in some detail that Massachusetts State Police took over the investigation from Canton Police Department around 8 or 9 a.m., correct? You're following certain protocols.
Yes, at some point in the morning, once it was determined that Mr. O'Keefe was gravely injured.
Wait, what? Lorelai, where the hell are you? Girl, you have no idea how much I've been beating myself up lately. I very much appreciate the kind words. And thank you to everybody that's been watching, honestly. People are watching it live, and that all this sort of... I get that it's not interesting to those that have already seen it and whatever else. I just want...
And was being transported to the hospital with no signs of life, and we were advised that he had a estimated 10% of survival rate. We engaged our services and responded to Canton Police to begin the investigation.
So the answer to that question is yes.
Okay, at least the burnt plastic smell's gone.
Yes.
You'll often work with a local police agency, even though Massachusetts State Police may have statutory jurisdiction over the case because it's a homicide, right?
Yes, part of our mission is to aid and assist local police departments when they request it. In this specific situation, as I stated earlier, the DA's office.
Jaron, just do me a favor and drop that into a comment below in the videos, because I'm not going to remember that by the time I get home, but it's a good idea. Also, if anyone has any timestamps for any of their favorite clips about Jeff or anyone else that they want added as a redemption, feel free to either hit me up on X or drop it in the Discord or as a comment on the video.
The office has exclusive jurisdiction over death investigations, and our office has that responsibility of investigating those cases, but we work very well with local departments.
So the answer to that question is yes, correct?
Yes.
If you can answer my question yes or no, it's going to go a lot faster. In this case,
he doesn't want to go faster.
You oftentimes work with local law enforcement agencies. It was determined that you would not continue working with Canton PD because of a conflict or the perception of a potential conflict of interest, correct?
To alleviate any perception, not that one existed, the Canton Police Department recused themselves from being involved in the interview portion of the investigation.
You did not just say that there was no conflict of interest between Canton PD and that investigation. The fact that John himself was a Canton PD officer means that there's a conflict of interest. Let alone the fact that he died on Brian Albert's front lawn. What the hell?
And that's in no small part because the lawn on which Mr. O'Keefe was found belongs to to Brian Albert, and Kevin Albert, Brian Albert's brother, worked as a detective at Canton Police Department, correct?
That was my understanding why they chose to take those steps.
Your first documented action in this case was to call the medical examiner's office. First documented action, not the first thing you did, but the first thing that you documented that you did was to call the medical examiner's office at about 10:41 a.m., correct?
In what respect are you saying first documented action?
There's a report where we can look at the earliest thing that you did, and it's actually written down and documented. You know what I mean by documented? Written on a piece of paper.
In that respect of documentation, I would have to look into it. I believe there was something probably before that, since there was a documentation of us getting notified of the incident.
At 10:41, let me just ask it a little bit more straightforward if I can. Just get to the point. At 10:41 a.m., you called the medical examiner's office to inform them that Mr. O'Keefe, quote, was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, or at least appeared to be, correct?
That is in part what I advised the medical examiner's office, where they are responsible for the medical portion of.
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach briefly?
Okay.
I wasn't paying attention to that last sentence or so I'm not 100% sure what the sidebar's about. I presume he said something there about the conflict between. Oh, sorry, one was Boston, wasn't he? Oops. Well, no. In that case, the conflict of interest is the fact that it was Brian Albert's front lawn. Thank you for keeping me honest, chat. Appreciate it. I am not infallible. Occasionally I say stupid shit. But oh my god, I laughed so hard. So Lady Overlaw'd didn't know where cow milk came from. And I had another one of those moments where I was like, why do I not fucking record every moment of my life just to be able to post it for you guys? So we all know about the tigers and the lion story. Well, apparently, she thought that cows are just born with milk and they just give milk.
All right.
She didn't actually realize that cows have to have calves and for the stimulation of the teats to continue so that they continue to produce milk. She didn't realize that they have to get pregnant. God, that was funny. I was pissing myself laughing, I swear to God.
So, Sergeant, I'm going to ask you to do your best to answer the question that's asked.
Yes, Your Honor.
And yeah, to be fair, I did check with her before mentioning that. She did say I was allowed to talk about it on the screen.
Did you contact the medical examiner's office in the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
And did you state to them that there was a possibility that the decedent, John O'Keefe,
do you mean I've been drinking cow breast milk? Yes,
I don't recall
sweetheart.
my words exactly, but that sounds accurate to what I might have said.
At least your initial investigation during those early morning hours, those critical hours, led you to believe at least that there was a possibility that there was a physical altercation, correct?
Yes.
What steps did you take at that moment to determine whether or not anybody in the house may have been involved in that physical altercation that you thought was a possibility?
That's a compound question. I have to answer it separately.
Answer it however you want to. It's an open-ended question, which is unlike
Fuck
me.
off.
What steps did you take?
It's an open-ended question. That's funny. By the way, dude, if that was a compound question, Brennan would have objected to the form of the question because it was compound. You'll notice that not only did Brennan not open his mouth, neither did Bev. So no, you can answer the question as it was asked.
At that moment, to determine whether or not anybody in the house could have been involved in that possible physical altercation that you just described.
We interviewed the homeowner and 2 witnesses that were in that house.
You never went into the house, did you? On January 29th, at least.
I personally did not go in the house.
You did not secure that house or remove the occupants, did you?
Which day?
Hey, quick
January
answer.
29th. I'm talking about the morning of January 29th.
I did not know.
You did not secure the yard as a crime scene, correct?
That's correct.
You didn't conduct any search of that house.
No, I did not.
You didn't take any photographs of the interior of that house.
I did not.
You didn't ask a forensic criminalist to join you and process the house, correct?
That is correct.
You didn't set up a crime scene log
You didn't
to determine
do a
who's
goddamn
coming
job,
in
did
and
you?
going out of the potential crime scene.
I did not.
No one actually documented the crime scene by taking contextual photographs and then close-up photographs, et cetera, during those early morning hours, correct?
I cannot speak to that. I was not there.
So the answer is you didn't do that, and you didn't cause that to be done.
I did not do that.
Crime scene services section, what is that?
It's a unit, specialized unit on the state police. They are
In my personal opinion, the reason that Brennan's not being as protective of Officer Bukaki here, it's because he's trying not to draw attention to Proctor. It's the same sort of thing that I said previously. I think it was best said in Suits. When it comes to when you're dealing with people on the stand or in any number of legal situations, you press until it hurts. You keep poking and prodding because the more that someone says "ouch," the more the jury's attention is drawn to it. If Jackson pokes Bukaki in a place where he says, "Oh my god, ow, my arm is broken," Brennan's not necessarily going to want to jump up there with an arm splint because it'll be drawing attention to everything that Proctor did. So I can understand why he's being very quiet this time around.
specially trained with documentation, photographs, video, latent fingerprints, foot and tire impressions, footwear and tire impressions. They assist other investigators in documenting and processing scenes.
Did you contact CSSS to process the house or the yard or the area adjacent to the yard?
Which house, sir?
34 Fairview, Sergeant Buchanan. Do you think I was talking about a different house?
Yes, I did.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
What?
Let's stick with 34 Fairview, where John O'Keefe's body was found. Did you call CSSS out to the scene to process that house?
I did not contact crime scene services on January 29th to the area of 34 Fairview Road to the lawn where John O'Keefe's body was found.
You mentioned that you conducted interviews that day, correct?
That's correct.
Where were those interviews conducted?
The first interview was conducted at Canton Police Department. The second, third, and fourth were conducted at a residence in Canton. The fifth,
what was the first interview at Canton Police Department that morning?
Sergeant Good.
So other than Sergeant Good, I'm talking about civilian witnesses. You mentioned 3 civilian witnesses. Where were those 3 witnesses interviewed?
At a residence in Canton.
But not at 34 Fairview, just to be clear.
They were not at 34 Fairview, no.
They had been at 34 Fairview, though, hadn't they? All 3 of them.
Yes, they had.
As a matter of fact, Michael Proctor spoke to one, at least one of them, while she was at 34 Fairview, correct?
I don't know.
Weren't you with Michael Proctor when he spoke to Jennifer McCabe?
Which time, sir?
The first time he called her to set up the interview that morning on January 29th.
I don't know where Jennifer McCabe was. I can't testify to that. I have no idea.
So if that call was made, if she talked about that call being made, that was made by Michael Proctor, not by outside of your presence.
All right, can you repeat that?
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we have a quick, brief interlude as the only Lady Overlaw'd has interrupted our stream to say that little Lady Overlaw'd has just made her day. By all means, sweetheart, let us have it.
So I just made a point of saying to our 6-year-old, Munchkin, Mummy's got so much work to do, she doesn't know where to start. A response, tell Uncle Larry to piss off. Tell Uncle Larry to piss off with her response.
Chat, for clarification and context, Uncle Larry is Lady Overlaw'd's boss. Atta girl.
I thought you'd enjoy that. That just made my day.
Very much appreciate that, my dear.
No worries.
I just got through telling Chad about the cow breast milk as well.
Oh, come on.
Yes,
Have you previously shared the tigers and lions?
everyone knows about the tigers and the lions story.
Okay.
So-
Alright, great. So,
What we're learning is that you don't do well with zoology, okay?
apparently they're learning that I'm zero on it. Not.
Anyway, I'm just about at the Geelong bypass.
Okay. Alright, that's fine. No.
All right. We're still in the middle of the trooper that just can't tell a. Honestly, I swear to God, this guy wouldn't be able to take a corner without it being crooked.
Meaning?
He is doing everything he can to basically obfuscate the answer of every question the lawyer's asking of him. Someone that is being so slimy and weaselly, he would basically look good on the end of a fishing line while I was trying to catch a trout.
Is he a politician?
No, he's a police officer, which is all the more terrifying.
Maybe you should go into politics. Sounds like you might make a decent one.
Actually, I kind of feel like this guy's slimier than a politician. And that's,
Oh, God, that's got to say something.
I know, right?
Oh, shit.
But, anyway, I shall, I'll talk to you when I get home, okay? Are we having bland chicken or are we having bacon muffins?
No, we'll have something else tonight.
Ooh, does that mean I get to choose when I get home?
No.
Oh, you've already picked out what you're making.
Yes.
Damn it. Okay.
Why? What did you want?
I have no idea.
No, I figured you could eat the leftovers from last night.
I didn't leave that much pizza.
There's an entire pizza there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow, you really didn't eat much wine, did you?
No, I never eat much.
Okay.
So yes, you should be right.
Okay, that's fine. I can deal with that. I have no issues with that.
I'll make the bland chicken tomorrow.
Yay! Bland chicken.
I know how to cook too, but apparently it's just called bland chicken.
You're really sensitive about that, aren't you?
Apparently I'm unintelligent. I don't know how to cook.
Yeah, but I love you anyway.
All right, I'll leave you to it. I'll see you when you get home.
All right, sweetheart. Bye.
Bye.
Sure. If there was a call made to Jennifer McCabe by Michael Proctor that morning, that was outside your presence.
Not necessarily. I just did not know where she was.
So the only 3 people you interviewed were.
Wait, what? She's out of your presence, but you didn't necessarily know where she... What? If someone's in your presence, you know that they're there. That's how presence works.
Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert, correct?
Not correct.
Who else?
The defendant.
Other than Miss Reed, and before you got to Miss Reed, because you didn't get to Miss Reed till 3:34, correct? In the afternoon.
I don't know exactly what time we began the conversation.
I'm talking about in the morning when you were trying to figure out what was going on. You interviewed 3 people,
Yes, we did.
3 civilians.
At one point, we interviewed 3 civilians, the homeowner at 34 Fairview Road, and 2 witnesses that were with Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant the night prior and then one of the witnesses that was with the defendant when Mr. O'Keefe was discovered.
And these are individuals that you made the assessment had either been with or been with at the time or shortly before he was last seen alive, right?
Based on the information that we had at that time, one of the individuals was with him right before he was seen alive, and the other two.
Before he was last seen alive.
One of the individuals was with him right before he was last seen alive, and two of the individuals saw the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe together.
And those same two individuals were also with Mr. O'Keefe just minutes before he was last seen alive. The waterfall, correct?
All three of the individuals were with Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant at Waterfall, yes.
And all three of the individuals were also at 34 Fairview when Mr. O'Keefe arrived. You had that information, didn't you?
We did not have information of Mr. O'Keefe arriving at the house. He was dropped off on the lawn.
And all three people, all three, were either named McCabe or Albert. Those are the three.
Ooh. Nice little slip, nice little Freudian slip there. He was dropped off on the lawn. Interesting. Hope that comes back to bite him.
You had information from, correct?
Which information? We had information for a lot of different sources at that point in time.
I'm talking about the first three interviews that you did, the first three civilian interviews you did that morning. Still on the same thing. You mentioned talking to three people at a residence in Canton. Brian Albert, Jim McCabe, Matt McCabe. All three were at 34 Fairview when they indicated John O'Keefe arrived in an SUV. They all told you that, right?
They were inside the home when the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe arrived in the SUV.
These are the very people that would have a motive to lie if they were somehow involved, right?
Can you answer that, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor.
You're a professional investigator, correct?
That's correct.
Homicide investigator, right?
That's correct.
Many years of experience, right? Is that yes?
I don't
You
know
just
what
said you received
many
a lot of
means to
information
you,
from
but
sources as well.
How many years of experience do you have?
in homicide,
Correct.
10 next week.
Okay. Does that sound like many?
I didn't answer the first time because I don't know what you would think many is.
Right.
Oh, don't be a wank.
Suspects ever lied to you?
Yes,
Suspects lie to you all the time, don't they?
all the time is not accurate. They lie about certain things to create an alibi for themselves and state contradicting facts or fabricated stories.
And if someone
all the
has,
time would mean that they're constantly lying about everything.
do you understand?
Jackson, you need to hem him in here, okay? Even I'm starting to get frustrated with how vague and open-ended your questions are. It's cross-examination. Hem him in with something crystal clear and clean-cut. Would you agree that would you agree that witnesses and or potential defendants frequently lie to police officers? Start with that.
And the colloquialism all the time?
I
Suspects.
do not know the term colloquialism.
Okay, let's try it a different way. If these three individuals were involved
What the
in the death
fuck?
of John O'Keefe, or knew others who were involved in the death of John O'Keefe, who they were close to, they would have a motive to lie about that, correct?
Objection.
But you took these three individuals.
For the most part, Daily Quick Bites, it's pretty much the same here. There is a difference in that where the public sidewalk runs through, beyond that is generally considered local council property, but you're still required to maintain it. Everything beyond that, your driveway, very much considered part of your property. It's still technically part of the property, but it's not. It's a weird way that they do it here.
Just at their word, based on those first three interviews, correct?
No, not correct.
You didn't go in the house. You didn't search the house. We've already talked about that, right?
I did not go into 34 Fairview. No, I did not.
You didn't ask them to come with you down to the station, correct?
That's correct. I did not ask them to come to the station.
As a matter of fact, when you went to interview Jennifer McCabe at her home, Brian Albert happened to be there, correct?
He was there, and I was able to conduct the interview at the house with Brian Albert, yes.
Yes, wardrobe, that covers it.
Did you find that?
Also, just briefly before Jackson gets into his next question, people, I have completely forgotten that I have done no grifting pretty much whatever this stream. But again, thank you, Laura Life, for the super chat. But what I will say is absolutely, if you're new here and you're enjoying the content, feel free to hit that like button and double check whether or not you want to subscribe. I very much try to bring whatever value and entertainment I can to people's lives, but YouTube does have its thumb on my subscriber count, so I'm very much doing everything that I can. But just keep on trucking, basically. That was really sad and lame, but maybe hit the sub button, please.
Isn't that odd?
Absolutely not.
Totally normal for you to conduct a formal interview in a homicide case and have an extra person show up at the house just to be there?
Absolutely. Cooperating witnesses always try and be assisting. So cooperating witnesses would assist us.
You just use the word always. You didn't know what all the time means. But they always try to be assistant.
Well, they're cooperating. It's in the nature.
They always try to be.
Not necessarily. Some honestly, how the fuck? He's being so disingenuous here. Some cooperating witnesses do it deliberately so that they can manufacture facts. That's a fact.
Okay, maybe I misspoke. They are cooperating witnesses. So always is such a finite, definitive statement. I apologize for using it.
And if an investigator were keeping an open mind, right, open to all possibilities at the beginning of the investigation, someone that you now are calling a cooperating witness might well be a suspect who's lying, correct?
Yes.
That's a possibility.
That is a possibility, yes.
Thank you.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
I want to shift gears for a second, Sergeant Buchanan, and ask you about some of the physical evidence in the case. You and Mr. Proctor collected the gray sweatshirt and the orange T-shirt that we saw entered into evidence today, correct?
That's correct.
You talked about finding that evidence at Good Samaritan Hospital. Is that right?
That is where it was seized from, yes.
You described it as being on the floor, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Where on the floor was it when you first saw it? Was it on the hospital floor, not the ambulance floor, correct?
When I first saw it, it was on the hospital floor, correct?
All right.
I'm going
Yes.
to change lanes.
Take a look at that photograph, please.
Yes.
Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
It's one of the photographs taken from Mr. O'Keefe's emergency department room.
Do you recognize the shirt or shirts that you earlier described as being in that photograph?
There is an orange shirt depicted on the floor to the left side, yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that be marked and entered in evidence.
No objection.
Okay.
While that's being marked, let me approach it very briefly.
Brennan speaks. See, the annoying thing is, this isn't even just that I personally am of the opinion that I don't think she killed him. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is, the investigation in this has been so sloppy that, as I've said before, even if she did kill him, she should not be able to be found guilty on the basis of the investigation and the corruption that's been uncovered so far. the fact that Buchanan is sitting here doing everything he can not to answer a yes or no goddamn question just continues to show they're willing to do anything above and beyond actual police work to maintain a conviction. Or should I say to obtain a conviction. And honestly, it's disgusting. I have no idea how much longer it's going to take them to mark that in as evidence, though. Hopefully the remote will work.
This is exhibit.
Oop, too far.
Your Honor, with permission, may I publish?
Yes.
Sergeant Buchanan, this is exhibit 110. You just mentioned seeing an orange shirt. Do you have a laser pointer with you? If you don't, I can grab you one.
I do.
Can you point for the jurors where you were describing the orange? Just pick whichever TV you want to use.
Yes. It worked early.
This is
It did, yes.
That's at least. That should work. Just tell me which TV you're going to look at.
Surprisingly, aside from the fact that there wouldn't be as much media attention and coverage, specifically because we don't televise our trials, annoyingly, I wouldn't think there would be actually all that much that would be different, aside from I would hope that our police officers would have more integrity with their investigation. Because you got to remember, UK, Australia, America, and Canada all have the same basis for our legal system. That's why it's relatively easy. If I wanted to pick up and move to the US, all I'd have to do is sit the bar exam and maybe do a 6-month conversion. And that varies state by state. But the main difference that you'd see here is that you wouldn't hear next to any of it, because our media is so tightly controlled, and the court rules on what you can and can't discuss and restream, and in particular the rules around journalism and what you're allowed to say about criminal cases. So
Jan can follow.
I'll do the one to my right so the jurors can see. There is something orange right there on the floor.
Does that appear to be on top of something darker?
It does appear to be on top of possibly a darker item of clothing, possibly the jeans. I'm not sure exactly from here what that is.
Do you believe, as you sit here, and I'm asking it open because I don't know what the answer is. Do you believe, as you sit here, that that's the orange shirt and or the gray sweatshirt and or the jeans?
If we can zoom in, I could probably pick out the pattern. So from here, it looks like it's a cut fabric, indicating that it most likely is the orange shirt. The jeans, you can see the belt loop through the jeans on the left side. I would say that that is Mr. O'Keefe's clothing that we picked up and bagged.
Okay, if you could unzoom that for me. One more question. You see Mr. O'Keefe's left leg and right leg from about the little lower than mid-thigh down, correct?
Mid-thigh down, I see his legs, yes.
Okay, you see his right knee?
The interior portion of it, yes.
Okay, do you see any scrapes or marks or cuts or abrasions on that right knee?
Not from this point, no.
Thank you, we can take that down. May I approach?
Yes.
Oh, the laser point? Which one? I think it's this one. They're both the same.
I had one more question on that photo. Sorry about that. Can we display the photo one more time, Ms. Johnson? We don't need to turn the lights off. Take a look to the left. Could you zoom in on the chair? Do you see that item sitting on the chair, Sergeant?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
That is either mine or Michael Proctor's notepad binder.
Thank you. We can take that down. Concerning the two shirts that you earlier testified to as being sopping wet, did you bag those shirts? Well, did you bag those shirts, or did Michael Proctor bag those shirts?
We bagged them together. If my memory is not failing me, I believe he picked it up and I held the bag open. But I could be wrong. Maybe I picked it up and he held it back.
That's fine. The two of you together got him in a bag.
Yes.
Was it a paper bag or a plastic bag?
It was a large paper bag, the size of like a lawn leaf bag you would get for disposing your yard waste.
Okay. Is it specifically an evidence bag, or was it something that y'all came up with on the spot?
It's a bag that was provided by Crime Scene Services.
Okay. So it's an official law enforcement type bag.
It's an actual evidence bag. It's not from
It was not a
Stop and
grocery
Shop.
bag. It was a large bag.
Okay, understood. Did both shirts go in the same bag?
All the clothing items that were in the pile went into the same bag.
Does that include the jeans and belt and boxer shorts?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You went from Good Samaritan, straight to Dighton, correct?
Yes.
And you are the one that put the bag in your the super cab of your pickup truck.
Yes.
And then from Dighton, you went over to Canton PD. Is that right?
Yes, we did.
And then from Canton PD, ultimately, before the night was out, you ended up back at the Norfolk DA's office, which is where you and Michael Proctor officed at the time, correct?
Yes.
When exactly, if you recall, did you lay out the clothing? You indicated it was sopping wet. You laid it out on a butcher paper. When was that?
It was during the evening hours once we arrived to the Canton office.
It was about 10 p.m., I'm guessing?
No, it was before that.
It was before 10?
Yes.
Yeah, just a moment.
Yes.
Ooh, does he have something to impeach him on, maybe? Insider, how are you? On the way home from work. Probably got another 15 minutes. I think.
Sergeant, I just want to get the record as clear as possible. Did you testify at a hearing last year, proceeding last year here in this courtroom, that it was about 10 o'clock at night when you finally got the clothing laid out on the butcher paper?
Based on the context and the
me.
question,
I
I
did
might
get
have
your email.
estimated to
That
be around
was
10.
fine.
I would have to take a look at the exact language being used. And
That's fair. I'm not trying to hold you to anything. I just want to make sure we get it as clear as possible. Mayor Approach.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm pretty terrible like that. At some point, I actually need to start responding to messages and stuff.
Mayor Approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
For those of you who may have bookmarked your bingo cards, I think we
Sergeant, does that refresh your recollection as to about the time that you ended up at the office to lay out those items on the butcher paper?
that refreshes my memory to my testimony prior.
And that was about your prior testimony. It was about 10 p.m.
When asked about what time the items were laid out, I indicated previously it was 10 o'clock approximately.
You didn't stay there all night with those clothes?
No, I realize that and I appreciate that. It's more just I feel bad because with my current schedule, I don't like dicking people around. That's all.
No, I did not.
You left the clothes with Michael Proctor, did you not?
I can't testify to leaving them, quote unquote, with Michael Proctor. We laid them out together in the drying area on the butcher paper.
Chris, nothing.
And
at the
then
moment.
at some point, I secured from the office. I don't have a memory if he left with me or if he remained to do additional tasks in the office to,
You
whatever we have to
indicated
do.
that those clothes stayed in that room starting on January 29th, 2022, so that they could dry, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Ultimately, they were bagged after they were dried, correct?
At some point, they were, yes.
Who had access to that room where they were laid out on butcher paper in those intervening, those subsequent days?
Anyone that had access to the office with a proper key card authorization would have access to that
And
area.
of course, that includes you as a supervisor, correct?
It does.
It also includes Michael Proctor.
It does.
And those items were bagged on February 4th. Is that right?
I don't have a specific memory, but if you can show me a document suggesting that and supporting that statement, I will definitely look at it.
Oh, funny. Wonder where we heard that. Oh, no, Laurel, I appreciate that. No, I mean, no, Aussie Insider was kind enough to invite me to do to do either a video or stream with her, and The only reason that I haven't responded yet is because my schedule is fluctuating so much as to when I'm actually able to stream and when I'm not. As bad as it sounds, I don't want to make an appointment to do something and then, I'm dog tired when I get home from work or something and I pass out. So it's purely, I'm just trying to be respectful of other people's time. You guys in chat, you'll watch if you want to. If not, so be it. But I don't want to dick around other content creators either. So, and the reason I actually paused that was, where have we heard that kind of comment before? Well, I don't have a particular recollection, but if you put a document in front of me that says it, I'll attest to it. That doesn't sound rehearsed and pretty much word for word what Jen McCabe said at all, does it? And no, Chris, when I'm in the car at the moment, I don't have the sound effects and visuals to use. One of the downsides of using StreamYard while I'm in the car. I am working on it, though. If I can work that out and make it simple and straightforward for myself, I will. Damn it, I got Toto stuck in my head.
Sergeant, while we're looking for this piece of paper, you remember looking at the bag that the clothing items were in, at this point, just the jeans?
Earlier today, sir?
Yes.
I do remember looking at the bag, yes.
Okay, and the bag has a label on it, obviously, that's generated when items are bagged?
It has multiple labels, yes.
Okay. Did you see the label today that it indicated it was bagged on February 4th?
I didn't pay attention to it, no.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Of course not.
If you could take a look at those 3 pages briefly, that's a colloquy that may refresh your recollection.
I don't know what the colloquy means. Can you?
Colloquy, the back and forth conversation.
I see.
God damn it. Okay, so quick side. I was scrolling through X on my lunch break today, and you know how you come across some of the weirdest things ever when you're just scrolling through videos, and someone did an AI video of a bunch of chickens singing Africa by Toto, and now I've got it stuck in my head. And it's just random shit, but hey, this is why you watch with me, because you get random shit. I bless the rains. Sorry, Gwenny. Down in Africa.
May I approach? Did reviewing that document refresh your record as to the date that those items were ultimately bagged and labeled?
Yes, based on the tag on the bag, when I previously looked at it, it appears that the tag was printed on 2/4/22.
And that would be consistent with the time that the items are actually placed in the bag?
I don't know that to be true.
Because you didn't place them in the bag, Trooper Proctor did, correct? I'm sorry, former Trooper Proctor did.
I don't know who placed them in the bag.
But it wasn't you.
It was not me, no.
But the case officer, Mr. Proctor, had access to that room and was taking control over those clothing items for those 6 days that they were drying on the butcher paper, correct?
That's not necessarily correct. It could have been the evidence officers bagging the evidence once it's dried and processing it. I highly doubt Trooper Proctor had access to the beast machine to print that tape.
If nothing else, Buchanan is doing a brilliant job here of explaining exactly how reasonable doubt works. Because Jackson's going, oh, well, I mean, he would have been doing this. And Buchanan's going, well, that's not necessarily true. Here's an alternative theory as to why that may not be the case. Hey, Gwenny. I'm sorry, but that's funny.
Label.
Right. I'm not asking if he printed the label. I'm asking if he bagged the item and walked it up to the evidence locker and the label was printed up there.
Again, I don't know who bagged the items.
That would be normal protocol, though, correct?
Somebody else bagging the items?
No, the case officer bagging the items. He's the one that seized it along with you. He laid them out on the butcher paper along with you. He would be the one to gather them up. I mean, the evidence officer's not going to come down there and do that without the case officer knowing, correct?
Not necessarily. The evidence officer's responsibility is to handle the evidence. So I don't know who handled the evidence that day.
How would the evidence officer know to go down there? How would he know that there were clothing items being laid out to dry on butcher paper unless the case officer told him?
They would walk by it every day and see it. That's their workstation. So
Right.
they would know that, hey,
Yeah, but if they don't know the details of the case and the evidence being collected, they're not going to touch it, are they? For fear of, oh, I don't know, cross-contamination and fucking up their job? Don't be a disingenuous dipshit.
this evidence is drying. There's only 4 detectives in the office at that time working on this case. We communicate daily. So they would know that, hey, it's dried. Let's bag it up.
Well, that's a lot of speculation, especially from the supervisor, literally, who just said, I have no idea.
You love me.
They weren't communicating with you, were they?
I was giving you an explanation of what could have happened.
Right. Speculation about what could have happened.
You
right?
didn't. You wouldn't be listening.
Well,
to
I
this
certainly
shit.
did not bag that item.
Right. But your best estimate would be knowing the protocols at the MSP and in your unit would be the case officer who's controlling the items of evidence would have bagged it and submitted it into the evidence locker.
I do not know who bagged it.
So for 6 days, anybody who had access to that room could have handled that clothing in any way they wanted to.
That's correct.
And that includes former Trooper Michael Proctor.
That's correct.
Do you have any kind of log to document what was happening or who was handling those items of clothing during that 6-day period before it was bagged into evidence? Any kind of log?
I don't have a document
Oh, see, I can find the beacons.
logging the clothing laying out there. It was documented in reports and processing, I believe.
Have
But
you ever seen a log? I'm not talking about a report after the fact. I'm talking about a log, real-time log, indicating who may have come in and handled or touched or manipulated those clothes in that 6-day span of time before that.
I have never seen a log like that. No.
The fact is, we don't have a single document establishing the chain of custody for those items between January 29th and February 4th. That's correct, isn't it?
That is absolutely not correct.
Where's the chain? Where's the log of the document logging what happened to it?
We seized the clothing. It was in our possession. It was transferred for processing.
Sergeant, I'm asking you about a log, a written piece of paper, something that looks like this. It's got writing on it that logs the item between January 29th and February 4th. That doesn't exist, does it?
We did not create a log to document the documentation,
Thank
so it'd be redundant, really.
Oh, fuck off.
You indicated on direct
log
examination that you
document
personally participated in 2 searches at 34 Fairview, one on February 4th, one on February 10th. Is that right?
That is not right.
What did I get wrong?
I was also there on the 3rd, 4th, and 10th.
So it's not that it was wrong, it's that there's additional information.
Who did you go with on the 3rd?
This guy's such a slime ball.
That was Trooper DeChico, Michael Proctor, and I conducting the first excavation.
And about what time was that?
It was during the morning hours. I think earlier I said it was somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30. I could have been half an hour later. I'm not exactly positive on the exact time we began the excavation.
And the other 2 searches were the next day, February 4th, and then February 10th.
The next time I was at Fairview Road and involved in a collection of evidence was on the 4th, when Canton PD documented the one piece and I collected, and then the 10th.
Okay.
Was anything recovered on February? Let's take them in order. On February 3rd.
Yes, Mr. O'Keefe's hat, straw, I believe red and clear plastic taillight pieces. There was those are the items that were recovered amongst.
That's on the 3rd. Okay, what about the 4th?
The 4th was the red taillight piece that we displayed, I believe, that Canton PD notified me of when I was already en route there.
When you say Canton PD, who was it that notified you, if you remember?
There was, at the scene, there was Chief Berkowitz, a couple of detectives.
Sergeant Lank, does that sound right?
I do not know. I can't say yes or no. I don't recall specifically. It was raining hard, so I grabbed the item and left.
Okay. Did you write a report? I'm gonna combine these into all 3 dates together. Did you write any report? Actually, I won't do that. Let me ask him individually. Did you write any report about your search on the 3rd?
Somebody authored a report. I'm not sure.
I'm asking about you.
I can't. There's over 100 reports. I'd have to take a look which report documents my activity that day.
Do you remember, as you sit here, authoring a report about your conduct or your activity on February 4th, the next day?
I don't have a memory of it, no.
Do you have a memory of authoring a report yourself about your conduct on February 10th, or your activity on February 10th?
I don't have a memory of it. It could have happened. I just don't have a memory.
The reality, Sergeant, is that no report was written about any of these searches until November 4th, 2023. Correct?
That could be possible, yes.
So literally the documentation of these 3 searches about which you've testified today, the documentation did not exist until, what is that math, 17, 18 months later?
That is not true. Each bag that the evidence went into was documented, the time, location, who recovered it, where it was recovered, and brief description of the items that were recovered from the scene.
And by the way, we're going to get to that in a second, the evidence bags. A report is designed to memorialize exactly what happens, when it happens, why it happened, who was there, what time it happened, things of that nature, correct?
That is one of the purposes, or some of the purposes behind the report, absolutely. Yes.
And the report in this case that documented these 3 searches involving you, Trooper Proctor, I think Trooper DeChico, even Canton PD officers, there was no memorialization
Might just get to the end of day
in a
12.
report until nearly 18 months later. Is that right?
It's possible, yeah. We write reports at different times. Yeah.
I want to ask you about this February 4th visit to the crime scene. You indicated that sometime in the morning, 8:45, 9 a.m., something like that, you responded?
On the 4th, sir?
On the 4th.
I was driving to work, so I would have to say 8:45 or so. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact timestamp, but if you know, if you have something to refresh my memory, I could tell you if that's accurate.
I'm not going to hold you to the exact time. It was in the morning on the 4th.
It was.
All right. Did you know Chief of Police Ken Berkowitz before you responded on the 4th to 34 Fairview?
Yes, I knew who he was. I had met him previously, and he was present on the 29th when the vehicle was delivered to the Sallyport.
He was actually in the Sallyport, at least at some time, when the vehicle was delivered, correct?
He was there at some point. I had a conversation with him.
Okay. Tall guy, short guy?
Chief Berkowitz was a shorter guy.
Okay. Do you know who Brian Higgins is?
I do.
What's your relationship with Brian
It's
Higgins?
still got 16 minutes.
Or what was it? I should be more pointed to this, Sergeant. What was your relationship back in 2022, January of 2022?
Brian Higgins was a federal agent, and I crossed paths with him on a couple of investigations, strictly professional relationship, a federal agent and a state trooper.
So not a personal relationship, more of a professional relationship.
Correct.
Did you know him to have a personal relationship with Chief Berkowitz?
I did not know.
Didn't Brian Higgins actually tell you and Michael Proctor in an interview that he had a personal relationship with Chief Berkowitz? He called it one of his better friends.
Sustained investigation.
Sure. During the course of your investigation, did you learn, although you may not have personal knowledge of it, did you learn that Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz had some sort of a personal relationship?
If you show me a report stating that, I would like to take a look. If it's written in a report authored by me, or that I authorize,
He's
approve,
asking for
I
your
will take it
personal
for,
opinion, you
to be
dipshit.
fact.
As you sit here now, you don't have a memory of that conversation with Brian Higgins?
Do I have a memory of having a conversation with him
No,
and him sharing that information with me?
That's it.
I don't have a memory of him sharing that information, but if you have a report that was authored by me or Michael Proctor or any trooper in our office that says that, I will take it as gospel and testify to it.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take up the time to look for it. We'll put our hands on that. But in the meantime, let me ask you a few other questions. You were contacted and told to respond to 34 Fairview because Chief Berkowitz had been driving by and saw something while he was driving by, correct?
On which day, sir?
February 4th.
I'm sorry?
February 4th.
Yes. He indicated he was driving by and saw a piece of potential evidence.
And he was driving by in a car at speed, correct?
I would take that to be factual. I mean, if he's driving by, I would take it to be in a car
And
at speed.
did you question Chief Berkowitz about, by the way, about how old was Chief Berkowitz when you met him out at 34 Fairview in 2022?
How old?
How old? Estimate. Was he in his 50s, 60s, 70s?
I have no idea how old Chief Berkowitz was.
Oh, I bet he's going to make him regret it.
He indicated to you that he was driving by and saw a small piece of red taillight from his car. Is that right?
Objection.
Sustained.
He indicated to you that he was driving by and saw a red something from his car, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you question
Holy
Chief
app
Berkowitz?
cray, how
after
are there
you learned this
100
information
people
about
watching
him
this?
driving by? Did you question Chief Berkowitz about how he could possibly see a piece of red plastic from his car?
No,
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about why he was driving by 34 Fairview in the first place?
no,
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about the fact that his department had been conflicted from the case, at least in part, because of a, as you put it, a perceived or possible perception of a conflict of interest?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question, please?
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about whether or not he was aware that there was a conflict of interest between Canton PD and this investigation?
No, I didn't question. No.
Did you think that was important
Woo,
at the
thanks,
time
Lorelei.
to talk to him about that conflict of interest?
No.
Because just days earlier, the sergeant, the Canton Police Department had in fact recused itself from interviews because of potential conflict of interest, right?
To prevent any perceived conflict of interest, they recused themselves from being involved in interviews. I wasn't pairing up with Chief Berkowitz to interview the taillight piece. I mean, I don't.
No, I didn't figure that you were going to interview the taillight piece. We all get the comment. I'm trying to get to a point. 3 or 4 days after, 5 days after, 6 days after, Canton PD recuses itself from these parts of the investigation because of a perceived conflict of interest. The brother of the homeowner being a detective, the chief of that department drives by in a car and supposedly sees a piece of plastic. Right?
Question.
I'm sorry?
I object.
Sustained.
Was your understanding, at least at the time, that the whole purpose of the recusal was so there would not be a perception of a conflict of interest? To avoid that?
I didn't give it much thought of the understanding why there was a recusal. I was told that they're not going to conduct interviews with us, and me being on the mission of conducting this investigation, assisting with this investigation, collecting evidence, I just knew I needed more manpower. And the Canton police, being, having recused themselves, weren't going to be available to provide that manpower to conduct interviews.
And yet it was the chief of that very department that was standing out in front of 34 Fairview when you pulled up that morning.
With his detectives, they were at the location. They weren't standing outside. They were in their vehicles because it was raining really heavily.
Well,
Can we end it this?
we can, Your Honor. Sure.
All right, so Sergeant, we'll bring you back tomorrow.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Folks, that's it for today. Those same cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything up about the case, please disregard it and let us know. Be very careful with your social media use. And again, Sergeant.
All rise for the court, please. Hearing closed and open. Follow me.
Can I see counsel about scheduling, please?
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I mean, that was just one more day of a shit show, wasn't it? I mean, he is just so evasive that it makes him look terrible. I really do hope that the jurors are paying attention to this, because even just arguing the simple semantic as a particular word because he thinks it's going to somehow get him out of having to answer a question. Enjoy my pizza. You know what, Gwenny? Just for that. I can't get that out of my head. I love it. Anyway. Yes, I am, but hey, you're the one that stuck around for it. So, all right, peeps. Look, given that, is it day 13 or 14 that's supposed to start in like 5 hours? I don't know off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's 14. Need a quack version. Quack, 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 quack. That could be good, actually. But anyway, thank you so much for keeping me company. Yeah, no, that was Thursday. I still have to do Friday. I lost a day because I intended to do some stuff over the weekend, and I lost the early morning stream this morning. So I don't know that we'll be able to catch up and finish off Friday before Monday's stream starts. So I'm still going to be, a half a day behind. There is a Rubber Chicken version. I've seen the Rubber Chicken version. Actually, the Rubber Chicken version of Jurassic Park's theme song is also awesome. But, all right, peeps. As always, please remember, you are not a piece of shit. Unlike Yuri Buchanan. Bukaki. Officer Bukaki is just a piece of shit in my mind. But as always, remember, you watching, you are not a piece of shit, especially because I know you've hit the like button, and all those of you who are new here, you've hit the sub button because you definitely want to see all my content, including me patting my cat to the theme, to the beat of Ice Ice Baby until she leave me alone, and I gave up. I'm sitting there trying to annoy the cat, and she would not back off, so I just wound up giving her cuddles. But anyway, as always, people, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise, and I will see you all very shortly. Cheers, peeps.
And again, on your way out, please do me the favor and hit the like and subscribe button if you're so inclined. It costs nothing. It's absolutely free, and we'll be friends forever. Bye now.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms
to push their own personal bias.
And agenda to control exactly what people think. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.